Hey Evelyn, I'm back, finally getting around to doing this Frankenhooker essay. And this one, I listened to the feedback. This one is not a scripted essay as the last one was. I'm still going over the plot, the theme of the movie, but I'm not doing step by step, bringing up the plot. I'm just riffing about how I feel about the movie, how it goes, the point of it. Let me start by saying, fantastic movie. Hilarious. A lot of just good comedy throughout. It's outrageous in so many ways. I love the random, just physical humor, the spectacle of it all. I think it's very interesting. It's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe of a movie. First of all, we got cool colors going on. Him doing the schematics. That scene is pretty cool as the credits are going through. Even Elizabeth being sucked up by a lawnmower, that's a hilarious scene. the hookers exploding from super crack. Just peak comedy, in my opinion. I feel like it was it's a very interesting movie. It's not like other movies. It's not like those other movies. I want to start with my main point being that our main character here, Freddy, is a fucking weirdo. He is definitely the antagonist of the movie. Because they're all out there having a barbecue at the beginning, having a good time. And what's Freddy doing? He is sitting inside playing with some, brain in a jar with, eyes or something like that. Doing mad scientist shit. And he's not even enjoying the company of his beautiful girlfriend, who he apparently loves, his fiancée. He's just in there fucking around. Now, mind you, he did love her enough to at least make this crazy lawnmower contraption, remote control lawnmower for her dad. But not enough to teach her how to use it, or the safety of it, or even do a good enough job to make sure she doesn't get killed by it. He just kind of oh, no, don't do that. And then when it happens, it's like, oh, fuck, no. And I don't know why he's not paying attention to her. Clearly she needs some attention because her mom keeps trying to bang it into her head that she's fat, she needs to put the pretzels down, all that. She needs someone to back her up. And he is nowhere to be found, just in there tinkering away. Also, I think it's pretty clear that one of the main plots of this movie is the autonomy of the body and people's decisions what to do with their body. Clearly, she has body image issues brought on by societal pressures, including from her own home, from her mom. And his brilliant idea, because he just loved her so much, is to try and take the perfect parts from a bunch of streetwalkers, a bunch of ladies of the night, some working girls, and create the perfect person. And the worst part is he knows that this is morally incorrect. He even has the conversation with his mom about it. And his mom also just a giant tool. He's trying to open up a little bit and be like, I'm going mad. I'm going stark raving mad. I can't take it anymore. And he's I think I'm evil. I'm no good. I think of doing these horrible things. And she's just like, do you want a sandwich? Just completely blowing off the actual issues or what might be really going on with her son, which I think is a giant problem in the world today. People do not want to actually pay attention to their kids, especially with what's wrong with them, because then they may have to acknowledge that they had a role in some of this stuff going on. Instead, she wants to acknowledge the fact that he's a brilliant scientist and this smart electrician and all these different things, because that probably it validates her and her raising him and I made him smart. But she's not going to take claim to him being a horrible person that doesn't care, one, about his girlfriend and her actual wishes, or is willing to play with life or death. And then on top of it is also just obsessed, just has no actual... He has a very warped view of human life and what it means to be humane. I don't know. The drill scenes too, like it's like him using a drug basically. It's his coping mechanism, and he's like giving himself a basically like a frontal lobotomy, which is great. They should offer that service at every public institution. You should be able to walk into your local rec center or a delicatessen and just get your brain scrambled, because we used to be a proper country. The scenes of him going and finally deciding, like he finally decides, there's all these women that are willing to sell them. Oh, weird cut. Accidentally cut off the recording. My bad. But he decides, like, there's all these women willing to sell themselves. And because he's, like, plotting some weird shit where he's gonna, like, I forget exactly. Like, he's trying to find, like stewardesses from planes and stuff like that, and he's got this real complex plan. Instead, he's like, I could just go buy this service. Like, they're already selling their body. I might as well just go pick the perfect parts. So he basically goes window shopping down a red light district in New York, and we get introduced to all sorts of just wild things. First off, we meet Zorro. Zorro is, to me, one of the most interesting characters in this movie, just because he has none of the normal characteristics of a pimp as portrayed through, like, media, other than he's manipulative. But really the only way he is able to manipulate, it seems like, is through physical violence and drugs, which are common things that pimps do. But also pimps are usually, like, real slick talkers. They're socially manipulative. They know how to spot people that are in tough times. And they have this general, like, charisma to them that is also poisonous and dangerous. Also, usually pimps are, like, these kind of wimpy fucks that are wearing, like, flamboyant suits. And they got their nails done. And they're, like, not that Zorro isn't a spiffy guy, okay? But he's a far cry from, like, Cat Williams or something playing a pimp in a movie where he's a scrawny little dude in a purple suit. He's just like this buff-ass motherfucker, probably off the roids a little bit, especially based off how he acts, and the crack, too, who's just out there strong-arming hoes and doing whatever he wants. And he's, like, dressed like, I don't know, like he's just going to the gym, like he's gonna go become like he's clearly like a bodybuilder. So, I don't know, I don't feel like most bodybuilders are smart enough to become pimps, or if they are, they're like, I don't know, it's not the typical portrayal of a pimp in media. Very, very interesting to me. Also, him talking about losing his hoes, hilarious to me. I lost all of them at once. The fact that they're just blown up from the drugs that he's, like, manipulating them with. Now, of course, along comes our buddy Freddy, and he's just 10 times more manipulative and has no care for human, right? Which I think there's a link here between Zorro and between Freddy. Like, they both don't really care about human autonomy. They're willing to use drugs, any type of manipulation, and they're also just focused on the superficial things. I think Freddy's probably the smarter man in this situation. But, I mean, he's a mad scientist. He's making a Frankenhooker after all. Also, the fact that his girlfriend gets called the Frankenhooker is kind of hilarious. Super crack is my favorite thing ever. Like, just the fact that it's called super crack is hilarious. And he, like, blows up that poor hamster or gerbil or whatever, trying to experiment on it. just 10 out of 10. Just great movie. Any movie that features super crack can't be bad. And the way that these hookers die in the hotel room, just being exploded one by one. I almost wish they, like, it's beautiful how it is, but I could imagine a montage of it with, like, this dramatic classical music or something, as they're just, like, in slow motion, one by one, realizing they're gonna get blown up. And so he finally decides to put these parts in his trunk, which are just hanging out all the way from New York to New Jersey going over the bridge, which is crazy. No cops, nobody. Like, this is just a normal day in between New York and New Jersey, apparently, which I could believe. Some crazy stuff going on there. And he ends up deciding to assemble them. He's got the weird fluid in the freezer and everything that kind of comes back at the end, all these parts. He's picking through them, rummaging. Oh, this is the perfect one. Squeezing, feeling his way around, looking at his schematics, trying to figure it out. And the fact that he just has her head, like the scene where he's like desperately, like it comes off like he thinks he's like, this is some romantic, desperately romantic scene where he's having the date or whatever with her head. But it really just comes off as like the most creepy, what the hell are you doing right now? Like just straight weirdo vibes coming from this guy right now. The plot twists throughout this movie towards the end are great. The fact that he finally makes or goes through all of this, assembles the new Elizabeth, the Frankenhooker, and then she just has none of her own original thoughts. It's all of the hooker's thoughts and experiences, and just immediately starts like her super strength. Incredible. I love that. Just filled with electricity, just beating the fuck out of people, which I think is a good twist, because she's built from a bunch of prostitutes that were like bruised and battered and had to be like whipped into submission. So I think that's a good twist on the whole idea there. And also the whole movie is about objectifying women, and like the whole plot ends up coming back to like, don't do that. Because obviously when she actually comes to, when he finds her and everything, also the scene where she eats pretzels is hilarious, and she has like this hint of like, who am I? She has like this like existential crisis when she eats a pretzel in the bar. I love that. Kills a few people on the way, turning tricks. Just great. But when he finally brings her back and like gets her to realize who she is, and obviously when he explains what happened and she was finally conscious, like, she is not happy. Why would you be? Like, I was ready for the long peaceful sleep. I thought my soul was going to ascend, or at least nothing would happen. Something better than this. You just made me an abomination of science. And then she's just supposed to be okay with it because now he decided to love her after he ignored her and just didn't give a fuck. And then, like, you know, especially the whole idea of him taking perfect parts of the women and then making her this perfect, like, obviously that's not what she wants. Like, she already had body image issues. There's no reason to do that to her. So she's freaked out, clearly. And then the twist of him, like, of Zorro coming in and all that, and beheading, all that great stuff. You watched the movie, you know. But when he gets Frankenhookered and gets put on Zorro's, oh no, he gets put on the female body parts because it's the only ones that would match, right? I think it'd also be funny if she just put him on Zorro's perfect body and was like, this is what I always wanted, but it's okay because now I can love you, or whatever, and does the same speech. But it's still, I think it's even better that he's all these women parts and the throwaway ones that he didn't want, and she gives him the same speech back and goes, well, at least now we can be together. That twist really, that solidified this movie being an instant classic with me, because it really tied together all of the themes of the plot, of it being like, see, you, at the end of the day, you're a hypocrite. You don't actually care about these things. You just wanted to do your creepy little shit, which I think all of that really ties back into the objectification of women, where it's like men will act like they care, or just basically so they can have their creepy little fantasies, or like, oh, finally, I got a little piece of it. Got a little piece of the pie. I don't know. And the fact, I like throughout the movie there are like nude scenes that are kind of objective of women. Like, they're definitely objectifying women, but they do it in a way that like comes off as gross, I think wholly on purpose, to tie into his gross objectification of her. And also, just, I don't know what kind of mental disease this guy had. It's just horrible, you know. He doesn't move on, is what really kills me. It's like, I get it. It's tragic. Everyone, you deserve the right to be sad. But he's really using his mad scientist identity to justify him not having to move on. Even immediately. He does it immediately when he goes and grabs her head after she dies. Like, it's almost like he knows, like, well, this isn't a big deal because I'm just going to use my real love, the thing I actually care about, my mad science experiments, and I'm going to use that to justify not having to, like, go out into the real world and be a real human again and get over the fact, work through my emotions of, I kind of didn't care about my girlfriend enough, and then she died in front of me, and then I, like, scarred everybody. And his mom at one point is literally like, hey, there's people that think you're cute. Like, you could go be a normal person and still be brilliant, which is a good move on her part, I will say. Even though I don't like her just being like, you want a sandwich. It's just, you gotta go out into the real world and be an actual human being. You gotta move on with your life. You can't just sit around being a fucking weirdo in your lab coat, coming up with super crack to kill hookers. And then he's like playing doctor with them and they're all confused. And then he has this, like, moral change of heart, but it's too late. But at the same time, he clearly doesn't have an actual change of heart because he still goes through with everything as planned. And he's really disappointed when his plan doesn't go perfect. Both times. Both when she isn't, like, the perfect version of Elizabeth that has all the thoughts in this banging body and isn't, like, his perfect experiment. And then also when she actually comes to consciousness, which is incredible, and just doesn't immediately accept his, like, horrific plan and whatever that was. I don't know. Just, you can't fight nature, you know. Also, the homeless guy that was prophesizing about this whole event, beautiful. I love this, like, it gives it a more dystopian feel even, or like it's the end of times, because he comes through and just preaches the story of exactly what's happening and how it's a sign that the world has gone wrong, because it is. It's an abomination to nature. This isn't how people were meant to live. You were fighting every known instinct. I guess that's the beauty of the mad scientist trope too, is most mad scientists just don't care about the world. Like, they have their own selfish interests, you know, at heart. Like, they want revenge, they want to try to dominate the world for some reason, or they want to literally go against nature. That's the beauty of the Frankenstein story. But I like how they took the Frankenstein story, whoever made this movie, I forget the director's name, genius guy, did a great job. And he also, I just love the visuals in this movie. Like, I feel like this guy has some pretty cool visual ideas. But he took the Frankenstein story and saw something within it of bodily autonomy, and then also tied that to the objectification of the body, specifically for women, because that's who suffers the brunt of it, honestly. Even though you kind of have, I don't know, maybe you could throw Zorro in there, but not really. Like, is he really, like, he's not really being objectified. He's some, like, big roid head who beats women and gives them crack, you know. He's definitely not a victim of anything other than losing his hose. Which is still just great to me. But I don't know. All in all, I gotta say, 10 out of 10 movie. Instant classic upon viewing, and also just love the creativity and pretty much every aspect of the movie. Some good dialogue. I feel like the acting is good and campy. You know, it fits the... Because, like, if this movie were taken too seriously, I don't know if it would land the same way as it does. It needs a little bit of humor, levity, and a little bit of, like, pushing the boundaries of what we're actually seeing here. Because if they took... It might be really dark. It'd basically be like that movie, what is it, Poor Things? It's basically the same idea, but it's taken really seriously. And I like that movie, but that movie felt really creepy. Whereas this movie, same ideas, except for I got a little bit of hee-haws in there. And also, it's just a vibe. Some pretty good music in the movie, too. Gonna have to check out more stuff that this guy did. I know we watched Brain Damage, or tried to, a little bit. But also the alien in that movie is visually just very interesting. I don't know. I like these visuals. They're good horror, but they're also not like actually scary, which I can appreciate as someone who likes to kind of be scared, but also wants to be able to sleep at night and laugh. So there's that. Sorry about the length of this video. Oh my god, I've been just fucking rambling on. Sorry it took so long. I love you. I think I need more recommendations. I need to make some more essays here because I need to be put on to more 10 out of 10 instant classics. Thank you for listening. You have a good one. Oh my god, wait a second. Before I finish, I almost forgot about the beautiful scene where all of these like amalgamated hooker part, like what do they call that? Like there's a specific horror word for it where they're just abominations of body parts and horrific, I forget what it's called, but I'm sure you've heard of the trope. But they're all these hooker parts, all of Zorro's hookers like come out and attack him and finally get retaliation against him. I really like that scene. And I can't believe I almost forgot it, but that to me, that was a beautiful scene. Just the fact that the body parts even melded into these things because the lack of care that our boy Freddy had while doing this. Like, not really as good of a mad scientist as he thinks. And then Zorro finally getting his comeuppance, not from Freddy, because Freddy doesn't deserve to be the one who does it. And even the Frankenhooker does it, because she needs to get her comeuppance. Elizabeth needs her comeuppance against our boy Freddy. Zorro deserves to be put down by these women that he has manipulated and that he has made just shells of human beings of. And so they decide to just fucking kill him. And I'm here for it. 100%. Beautiful, beautiful scene. Okay, now I'm really done. I'm sorry.